What's going on, YouTube? Hey, man, this your boy Jarrell coming to you live again. One part of the Deep Third podcast. We are so happy to be coming before you guys again. Um, I talk about it every week, man. Just three best friends sitting here talking sports, man. Something that we all grew up loving, and consuming. I know all of us have played sports, so this is just a great opportunity just to give y'all our insight on sports today. It's a little bit different from what y'all may be used to with some of the topics that you see on other podcasts or on the TV, and some of it may be a little bit the same, but you're getting some raw, unfiltered content from us. This is what we love. This is what we enjoy. So hopefully y'all enjoy the show tonight. Hit that like button, subscribe. For all those that aren't catching it live, man, just leave a comment. If you guys got any questions or anything that y'all would like to hear us talk about, throw it in that comment section and we'll be glad to talk about it. Um, we appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all too. Dante, I'll let you take it from here. Fade, we're going to talk about, I wouldn't say our new segment. It's more of our regular segment, but it's the newest segment that we got to ours. DP, take that thing away.
Hey man, appreciate y'all joining and watching. Yes, DP, Dante, um, the banger, whatever you want to call, I don't know. But yeah, it's me
Athlete
on
The
you,
City,
banger.
Athlete City.
Athlete City,
Cause man, I used to be banging people out there on the field, man.
soft.
But look at here. All right,
Let's
man.
go.
Don't be scaring people out there. But I thought you were talking about something else, boy. Rated X. I'm like, hey, man. does
Nah,
Joe
nah.
does Joe know you the banger? That's what I was about to ask you. What you out there doing?
She looking at me like I don't know what he talking about.
All right, guys. It's your boy Fabe here, the last third of the Deep Third Sports Podcast Show. Like Jarrell said, thank you all for coming out. And make sure you guys watch all the way till the end because we always have a segment for you guys at the end of the show that's called Deep Thought. And in this part of the show, it's where we take your questions, comments, anything that you guys have, and we take your deep thought on it.
All right, man. Hey, well, let's get into it, man. Uh, let's start with this game, man. Before we get into the question, the Dolphins were playing Cincinnati, and it was like an extension of the Roy Jones and Mike Tyson fight. um, some people got tossed out. I think it was the first two people that got tossed out was uh, the hometown PA boy from what Aliquippa, or did he go to
Nah, he
or
was
did he go
clear.
to Clariton? Yeah. So he got kicked out of the game, and I think it was um
Howard.
Xavier Howard. Yeah, both
Yep.
of them got kicked out. And then dude named Thomas, number 80 receiver
Got
from
it.
Cincinnati.
Got it.
Uh, he did something I always wanted to do, man. I saw Polamalu do it in college, and I wanted to do it so bad, but I didn't get a chance to. But he hit the dude, he hit punt returner before he could catch the ball, and it was Royal Rumble, throwing people out the ring and all that stuff. So hopefully them boys don't miss too many more games. But it was crazy. Um, the Dolphins, man, I believe now they're 8-4, man. Who would believe? So, hey, man, whoever is sucking, they might well just go ahead and put a punter in at quarterback, like the Broncos. Sorry, Papa. Put they punter at quarterback, like the Broncos put their running back, and make sure you get that first pick because if you get that first pick, it can change your life. But anyways, so let's get into it, man. So for the first one, the first question we have is, give me one second. Got to get to it. So, how do you guys feel? about coaches being fired during the COVID outbreak. Do you think it's fair? Is it part of, hey, it's just part of life? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Whoever wants it first.
Man, I go ahead and take it, man. I I think it's beyond unfair. Um, One, I'm notorious for saying that, it's not all on coaching. I know we talked about, how much coaching plays a part in it. And I mean, let's be honest here, man. Let's keep it fresh. Let's keep it real. Hey man, if a coach ain't out there dribbling the ball, if a coach ain't out there throwing passes, if a coach ain't out there throwing in shots, it ain't all on the coach. Players got to play too. Uh, Players got to play. Coaches got to coach. That's what I believe. And in the COVID sector, where especially with football, football and basketball and hockey and every sport, there has been a delay when it comes to what the norm is. And in the norm, football would have had a regular off season. For the new coaches or the coaches that are coming in or the new guys that are trying to get acclimated to a team, you have that period to adjust to live where a coach can see you, correct you, and not doing the Zoom meetings and not doing these things. That doesn't mean that you can't function or you can't do some of those things with that option or that ability. But at the end of the day, you you got to find some way to try to overcome, but not everybody's going to. Not every team's going to come out like the Lakers. Not every team is going to come out like the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, I just think it takes time, and with the way that the COVID has gone, with basketball taking a halt, where you got some guys coming back healthy. Um, you had a layoff where guys had to stay motivated. Doc Rivers lost his job. I didn't think he should have lost his job. I think that's garbage. Um, I don't think he was in, game 7 sitting there getting his tail whooped. No. I got I got more frustrated when I hear Paul George talk about we weren't running the right things. Doc Rivers didn't use me the right way. Hey, bruh, you still banked a shot off the backboard or the side of the backboard. It don't matter what position you get put in. You supposed to play. You getting paid big bucks to play. So I can go to my job and be like, hey man, they ain't put me in the right position to make this decision. So I'm just not going to do it. No, we all got to be held accountable. Um, and then I look at football, and Matt Patricia just lost his job. And did he deserve to? Maybe. But when you look at this COVID realm that we're in, he can't control players' health. He can't control players' desire. I know some players didn't want to play, but they need that paycheck to provide for their family. So you got some guys, and if you watch a Lions game, it don't look like everybody's motivated. You look at a Chiefs game, you see motivation. Um, but I think
That's because you play for the Lions.
hey, at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys on the Lions getting paid just the same amount as the guys on the Chiefs. At the end of the day, you got to be motivated to play. Um, so no, I really don't think that it's fair to be judged during this COVID season. And Dante, I'll get one that's a little hot. Michigan. I don't think Michigan should be judged based off of this year. Now, if
What?
if
Hey boy,
if you,
hey, don't they drug test you at work?
if you say Hardball should be fired
Oh,
for the last few years, okay, but don't take this year and say anything because you got to deal with one of his best receivers deciding not to play. That changes some things, and in college that can change some things. That can change some things. And then on the other hand, you got that motivating factor. And if it's not there, it's not there. So, no, I don't think that they should be judged solely based on what COVID realm we're in. I think it needs to be taken as a whole to say, hey, listen, you, outside of this year, you haven't performed the last four. That's it. Don't say anything about COVID because everybody's dealing with variables that are very difficult at this time. Let's go. Go ahead, Dante. Talk about that Michigan.
First off, let me go ahead. I was about to stop you, but I was like, I'm gonna let you get your thoughts out. First off, Michigan, they lost to Indiana 31 to 21, 38 to 21. Indiana. When have you ever known them to have a good football team?
Wow.
When? I'll wait.
When did you know about BYU and when did you know about Coastal Carolina who just beat BYU? You ain't hear about them, but they about to be in the top 10. They
Wait.
about to be in the top 10.
BYU has for the last 10 years they always been pretty good team and run through people. Coastal Carolina, yeah, that was a up and new coming team or whatever. Definitely nobody knew about them. I did watch that game. It was a really good game. But Indiana and the Big Ten, like that that's a stepchild. Like they just you want to win. It's just like how the Dolphins was. You want to win, put Indiana on your schedule. Because
They almost beat Ohio State. They almost beat Ohio State.
and this shows you that. But Ohio State they played Michigan this year too, right? And let me see what the score was. Oh no, they play Saturday.
Yep.
And guess they're gonna get blown out because this is the thing. If you would have told me that the last 5 years that Michigan has been in the top 10 consistently, they've been a team that has been competitive when they play ranked teams, I would be like, okay, but they're doing the same thing they've been doing for the last 6 years, stinking up the field. So I mean, what do you want to do? Like, you have to look at it in the body of work. So it's not even based off the COVID situation. It's like, okay, well, you did this before the COVID situation, so what's gonna change now? Oh, COVID. Oh, that's why you had this bad season. Well, last year you didn't win that many games. Last year you wasn't in the top 25. So he is. It's time for him to go. They want it. It's time for him to go. That's all I say about that. But do I think teams should fire their coaches or schools or whatever the case may be? This is how I feel. At times like this is where you really see who's a good coach and who's an imposter. Like for instance, Mike Tomlin last year went 8-8, and he did that with his third string quarterback. So now he got a starting quarterback, and he got people that left, whatever the case may be, people hurt, and all that stuff. And what is he? Undefeated. This shows you what people are made out of. So if they can't hack it through, because yeah, everybody goes through stuff. But the thing is, not everybody go through things at the same time. So everybody's dealing with it. So for me, I don't have a problem with people getting fired because everybody's dealing with the same circumstances. And a lot of times, you may have like one team, they may, get down to their third string quarterback and people just get hurt and it's only one team. And then you're like, dang, well, he got fired, but everybody's dealing with it. So it's across the board. The difficulties have been brought down. Everybody's playing on the same playing field, and now you're getting to see who's going to be the man amongst boys. And if you can't hack it, then you need to be out of there. You're talking about one coach that got fired, Matt Patricia. Listen, he coached for the daggone Lions. He knew what time it was when he came in there. Nobody don't want to play for the Lions. Nobody. Even the people, even the owner, like, dang, I wish I owned another team. I guess so. He don't want to walk in the building. He'd be like, "Aren't you the owner for the Lions?"
Sharing.
Yeah, that's me. Like anybody in those organizations, the Lions, who else? God, dog. Cincinnati, the Browns. Should I go on? Like these teams, you just like, man, yeah, I get a check, but I really don't want to be there. And we all know places like that. At one point in time, we were like that at Seton Hill. Like, God, man, I gotta go to practice today. Do we gotta play this game today? We playing against Shepherd. Do we gotta play them? So
Wow.
we all been in places where you are like, man, I'm not trying to be here. I don't want to be here. But if you gonna write me that check, guess what? I'm gonna take it. I'm just don't want to be here. And that's what it is, man. Like it sucks, but everybody's dealing with it. So in my opinion, if somebody does get fired, now I can see if there was a team that the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they're being, good. They've been doing what they're supposed to do. And then they come to this season and it's like, oh, they had a drop off. I can understand that. But when you years going leading up to this pandemic and you still can't hack it, you can't sit there and say, well, it's the pandemic. No, you couldn't hack it before. Get your butt out of here and go reset.
So
Oh, you see?
I hear you there. The way I look at it, first I want to go with Matt Patricia and say I'm not surprised at all. And when he first came in, this is I always felt his downfall was going to happen because he was the D coordinator, right, for the Pats when he was with him. So when he came to the Lions, I know y'all remember how everybody wasn't vibing with him. None of the players were vibing with him whatsoever. They were talking about him and
Yep.
all that stuff. It was in all the headlines. And the biggest thing people heard was he was trying so hard to be Belichick. I get it. He was from a protege of Belichick and all that stuff, and there's a lot of good that I'm sure being that close with Belichick that you want to implement into your team, but you have to do like there's only one Bill Belichick, and he does it his way. Is there things that he could have taken, maybe just put his own? So that's what it came off to the guys like you, okay, you just trying to be a Belichick. Like you ain't coming in here. I'm Matt Patricia. I was under Belichick, but I'm Matt Patricia, and this is how we're running this program. So I think that turned players off anyway, and I just from hearing that, I don't think he was ever gonna have the team. So I'm not surprised. The biggest thing for me, like in Doc Rivers' case, I'll say yes. I feel a coach should be held accountable. Why? Like in Doc Rivers' case, it was in all the news medias and all the outlets and everywhere that you could tell the players were already outspoken about not wanting to be there um, because of COVID and stuff like that. And I know that the NBA they did it somewhat different. I don't know if a full team. Correct me if I'm wrong. If a full team could have sat out if they wanted to, but to me,
Nah, I think it was collectively decided.
okay. So to me, at that point, even at that point, as a coach, so you had some players like I know in the NFL and whatever they decided to sit out. Players who decide to sit out. Okay, cool. That's fine. Respect it. If you're here, that means you're accepting everything that comes with it. COVID risk and all. So that means you shouldn't be having this, I'm here. You decided to play. Because ultimately, right, it was, well, even in the NBA, if I was a player, I still could have said, I don't want to play, I don't feel safe, blah, blah, blah. And I still could have sat out. So even if it was your star players, it is what it is. As a player, that means in all these sports, no matter the sport, as a player, you could have sat out, protected yourself, protected your family. But if you decided to move forward, then you can't complain. You can't fuss. You can't anything
Yeah.
because you decided to go forward. And I think that's a conversation for the coach to be having because if he's seeing his guys who elected to play are lollygagging because oh, it's COVID. Is it? No, no, you can't use that because you're here. If you were afraid to play or whatever because of COVID, then you could have sat home. But you're here. So yeah, I feel the coach should be held accountable for that if they're not having those type of conversations with their guys.
Mm. So, so Fabe, my the biggest reason for Doc Rivers, and I don't know if a lot of people know, but Le'Veon Bell came out. I mean, not Le'Veon Bell. Lord have mercy. Paul George came out during the bubble and said that, I think it was towards the end, that he was going through a depression, being in the bubble. I don't think, and Doc Rivers talked to him and did all this, that, and the other, and he came out and had a great game that next game. Now, all that to say, it's not Doc Rivers, and it's not on Doc Rivers to bring somebody out of a depression. Doc Rivers' job is to coach, put their players in the best position that they can, and hope for what I would say is the best. And I think Doc Rivers tried to do that. Dante, to talk about your Michigan, Fade, you can answer. Just give me 1 second. So I'm just sitting here, just trying to look real quick. So prior to Harbaugh coming there, they had one good year in 2011 where they were 11-2. After that, 8-5, 7-6, 5-7, he gets fired. Harbaugh comes in 10 and
Chris
3,
Hope was
10 and
horrible.
3. Hold on, 10 and 3, 10 and 3, 8 and 5, 10 and 3, and 9 and 4 last year. So you're talking about a program that even prior to Hoke was Rich Rodriguez, which didn't win more than 7 games. I think he's doing a good now. People will say by the Michigan standard they need to be doing better. This year they're not playing well, but prior to that, last year he finished at number 18 overall. The year before, 14, and 16 he was number 10 and number 12. You're hovering around the top 15 every year. I would tell you, I think he's doing all right. Now, people set standards when he went there to win a championship. And you're right. That's not championship record. But but I'm not going to say that he's horrible. I think that he's a great coach. I hope that he gets to turn it around unless the Jets come calling because I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Or the Texans come calling because anybody if I'm the if I got Deshaun Watson, I'm taking that job in a heartbeat. But nonetheless, Michigan may not be on Ohio State standard, which is what they're graded on, but I would say year in and year out, they're of the upper echelon of teams. Obviously, them being hovering around the top 15 is all I need to see. That's
Jarrell, let
all
me
I
ask you
need to
this.
see.
Let me ask you this. So if the Miami Hurricanes, because that's your squad, God bless your heart, if if y'all played Wake Forest and Wake Forest beat the brakes off you, how would you be responding? Because that's what Indiana did. They're a Wake Forest team. They're FIU when you think about uh Michigan and Indiana. How would you feel? Would you be like, oh, okay, well, we just had a bad. No, you'd be like, bruh, somebody gotta go. Somebody gotta go. If I gotta go in there and pack your bag myself, somebody gotta get out of here.
But who can I get better than Hardball? That if I know that I can get the person that I'm targeting, I'm with you. But
Listen,
if I got to go with somebody that I don't know, then I might as well stay with him that I know at least. on a regular non-COVID year, I'm going to be hovering around the top 15.
You're going to be hovering on not going to the playoffs. That's what you're going to be hovering around. And if
They,
you're
but
okay
they
with
not going to
that,
make the playoffs regardless.
who?
I, I would find it hard pressed for Michigan to make it to the playoff unless they expand the playoff. And I think Ohio State talent wise, so Ohio State accepts any and everybody. Michigan, not so much. The school itself does not accept what I would call riffraff, what I would call the the raw athlete that got them. They don't want to accept them. They want you buttoned up. But Ohio State said, "Hey, come here. We gonna get you. We gonna be right. We gonna make you change some things." So if Michigan would open themselves up to getting some folk that ain't just buttoned up, I think they might be all right.
No excuses. Notre Dame does the same thing. And guess what? Notre Dame is number 2 overall.
But Notre Dame is always hovering around the top 15 every year. They get to make their own schedule. They get to pick who they're gonna play, when they're gonna play
They're in the ACC now.
this year. Last year, what in the ACC boo boo. Last year and every year before that, Notre Dame gets to be like, "Hey, I want to play you this week, and then I want to play
Oh my!
you this week."
Listen,
Outside of the top teams that they play in the beginning of the season, they get to do whatever they want. I
yes.
know, I think it might have been like 3 years ago that I think they started playing the ACC schedule, except for they weren't eligible for the championship. So, hey, listen, all I got to say is the likelihood of Michigan making it to the playoff, I would say, is semi unrealistic
See, you're making
because
my point. You're making my point exactly. If you can't make the playoffs, then you know what? Something needs to change. You need to get rid of the dude that's bringing in the people
are
because
you getting Nick Saban? Are you getting Nick
who
Saban? If Nick Saban goes there, I'm listen. I'm with you.
Willie
I'm with
Taggart?
you. No, no,
who
I said
no.
Willie Taggart.
They they have to have somebody that's going to change everything. And Dante, you're right. Maybe Jim Harbaugh is like, listen, I went here. I know how they do things. You got to be buttoned up. Maybe they need a top coach, which I don't think they're going to get because they're not getting Clemson. They're not getting Texas' new coach. They're not getting Oklahoma's coach. They're not getting Alabama's coach. They're not getting
see,
any of these top tier coaches to switch over to Michigan in the cold.
but this is the thing. If you're the head coach at Michigan, if I was the head coach at Michigan, I would go right into that Michigan office and say, listen, I bring in the money, the football team. I don't care what you guys say. Y'all can handle that stuff with the with the freaking just the academic people. But for the football team, this is what I need. And this is what I want to do. Now, if he had pulled, guess what? If Urban Myers went there, guess what? It would change.
I don't think so.
If
It would.
If
It
If
they
Nick
would.
Saban went there, it would change. So
if Nick
that tells
Saban,
me
yeah.
that if they would change, they don't really care. They okay with it. And so you know what? They're okay with it. So they would never make the playoffs until they expand to like 15 teams. That's when they'll make the playoffs. It's gonna have to be like March Madness for Michigan to make the playoffs because nobody cares at Michigan. That they, in my opinion, they have the same program as the Lions. We just want to have a team, but we don't care. That's where I'm at. I know I'm going on the deep end, but that's how I'm feeling.
Nah, you good. You
But
good. You good.
but
You good.
I did want to go and say something else too, because you did mention something about far as coaches not needing to go. You sit here talking about some coaches don't need to get people out of depression, and that's not their job. Jarrell, you and me both coach. Now
Uh,
you 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 know coaching goes way beyond what goes on the football field or the court or the baseball diamond. You got to be able to talk to kids or even professional athletes and get them out of their head. And so that's what we have to do. And so that's why I say that it goes way beyond just coaching and then telling them, hey, pass the ball here and you shoot over here and we gonna dunk and let's play good defense. Nah, it's a mind game. And that's what the great coaches are able to get inside of their psyche and to be able to not manipulate them but be able to pull whatever they need to pull out of them so that they can be successful. So um Dark Rivers, I mean, I don't know, I like him. I think that they made a mistake firing him because I don't, who did they get in there? Did they get anybody yet?
Tyronn Lue.
I mean, he a good coach, but he's not no Doc Rivers. Like,
No,
but Doc Rivers about to go over to Philly and Merck. So, yeah, but
Doc Rivers got the wrong end of the stick. I mean, and to his case, he did help Paul George out of that funk. But if if you're in the bubble and you're basically playing every day, if Paul George doesn't tell me something's going on, and I'm just thinking he's just in a slump, then I'm gonna work my way like I would anybody else to get out of that funk. But when he told him, he was up in his room till midnight, and all of a sudden he had a great game. But
yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm frustrated about is you get paid all these millions of dollars, and that doesn't mean that you're not susceptible to life, right? The life issues that go on. But at the end of the day, when you sign on that contract, you're signing your hardest and basically be at least what you say you're going to be. And I think Paul George let them down. I do think, which is why I think COVID shouldn't be a, a factor in firing a coach. The Clippers were playing great before the bubble. Before the halt, they were playing great. And then the halt came, and then the bubble came. I think you saw the Phoenix Suns, the Denver Nuggets rise to the occasion because they had a lot of young cats who don't have families, who ain't worried about anything outside of I'm a ball, and then you had other cats that had other stuff to overcome. LeBron overcame it. Other cats didn't. Paul George couldn't overcome it. Um, and I think that's the struggle. Now I will say where Doc Rivers did fault is that I don't think he should have went out of his way to bring in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I'm not saying don't bring in Kawhi Leonard, but when Kawhi Leonard said, "Well, you got to get me and you got to get Paul George, go out and get him," I would have said, "Nah, bruh," because they traded so many pieces to get Paul George that they messed up the friendship that was within that locker room,
Mm-hmm.
that culture that was within that locker. And Dante, you know, our last year at Seton Hill, the culture was amazing, and we did stuff that people was like, "What? Seton Hill? Yeah." But that's because we changed the culture, not the coaches. We changed the culture. But
yeah,
when that culture change happens, I think, and you saw people after the season, like, man, this wasn't right. Kawhi Leonard got to take off whenever he wanted to. He was like, I don't want to play today. I don't want to practice today.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you know, when you coming into a team, it's like you you can't just go get the big name. You can't do that. Now, if LeBron wanted to do that, you respect LeBron because you know the work that LeBron does, and he's a leader. Kawhi Leonard, as great as he is, top three player, whatever, top player, whatever you want to call, he's not a leader. I don't see him, and I haven't seen him in any team galvanize a team. He went to a Spurs team that had Tim Duncan, Manu, and Parker, and then he went to a Raptors team that was knocking at the door, and all they needed was a little bit of help, and that's what he provided. He didn't lead that Rockets team. Lowry led that team. Mark Gasol led that team. He didn't have to lead. So this was the first time you got to see him in a leadership position. He failed. He failed. Hey, you should know your brother playing next to you. And if PG ain't right, you should be talking. Hey, PG, what's going on, bruh? Because you banking shots off the back side of the backboard ain't right. What's
Hey
good?
man, everybody can't be Jordan, baby. What can I say?
But that's what I'm saying.
I'm
If,
just joking. I just joking. I'm just joking.
if you the quarterback, you should be directing stuff. My
Yeah,
receiver shouldn't be directing stuff. If I'm the
yeah,
quarterback, I'm directing. So I do put some of it on, and I'm not saying coaching isn't to blame at all. I'm saying it's partial that these players got to play, and
Mm-hmm.
and and if something ain't right, you got to communicate so you can get right, because you got in basketball 14 other guys that are counting on you. In football, you got 53, 54 other guys that are counting on you to do your job.
yeah,
And if you going out there, I got a problem with that.
yeah, yeah.
But go ahead, Don. Anybody got anything else? Anybody got anything great?
Fade.
Nah, we got a couple things in chat. So right now, we're gonna go to our last segment of the show called Deep Thought. We're gonna take your guys' questions and comments.
Deep thoughts.
Yeah.
So first, we got from Miss Sylvia. Hello, hello, Miss Sylvia.
Hey,
Thank
mama.
you for checking out the show. So Miss Sylvia asked, "Do you think Tyreek Hill is the fastest man in the NFL?"
In football pads, absolutely.
In pads, interesting.
In football's a crazy sport. You can be as fast as you want to be on the track, but when you get on that football field, you got that helmet that weigh a little bit. You got them shoulder. Tyreek Hill is just a whew.
Yeah,
He don't call himself cheetah for no reason.
I agree. I
I'm
can agree
still
with
waiting to
that.
see that for them to line it up.
With who?
Who
In the
was
race,
it? Yeah.
I can't remember who challenged him.
It was oh my gosh. We talked about it too. I forget
Yeah,
his
we
name
did.
too. I think he's with the Eagles now.
I can't remember his name. Can't remember his name. But go ahead. Go ahead, fade to that next question. I like this
Well,
one.
the
Go
next
ahead.
one, not a question. So it's from Derek Liu, who says we will give you Franklin, and he said that around when we was talking about coaches. I don't know who Franklin is. What coach that might be?
James
Franklin is
Franklin.
is the Penn State head coach who's garbage.
I like
Garbage.
James. I like James.
Hey, listen. James can recruit. He don't know football, Kai.
He don't
He
know
he had
football.
he had Chase McSorley that was throwing Hail Marys, and they had a great season, and he capitalized off of it. Penn State deserves better. Penn State deserves better. He is an arrogant person that I don't like, talking about you're unrivaled and you're this and you're that. Bruh, you're Penn State. You came after a coach who decided to go take over the Texans and got his butt fired, who was garbage at Penn State, who I can't remember the quarterback's name at Penn State, but he was like the number one recruit in the nation. He had him get down and his career got halted. And then before that, Paterno. Listen, Penn State deserves better. Penn State is a great program. That atmosphere is amazing. James Franklin does not belong at Penn State. The he's a decent and good recruiter, but at the end of the day, when you look at the schematics, it ain't great, man. It's just ballers making plays, and I don't want ballers making plays. I want progression. It used to be linebacker you for a reason. Now they nobody you, and you see it this year, Dante. When you talk about people stepping up, Penn State is garbage this year. It's frustrating to watch,
Derek
Hey man,
says
that's
he's losing recruits too.
and that's the sad part because Penn State. I mean, it. Again, some guys would go elsewhere, but Penn State, if you got an offer from Penn State, you were going. I
Yeah, that's
remember
big.
I remember just real quick, one of the recruits that I coached had went to a Penn State game and was being recruited. And when you come in, when you're a recruit, they got the student section all hype when you come in, talking about come to Penn State. That atmosphere is like, where do I sign? What do I do? Now it's like, okay, I go to Maryland over Penn State. Okay, I go to Pitt over Penn.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the reality of it. I mean, Penn State is not does not have that luster outside of Chase McSorley, which I thought he did a fantastic job, and he was throwing those haymakers, um, and really bringing energy to the team. I, man, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I mean, listen, I'm not a huge Penn State fan, at all, because they did one of my favorite players dirty. Um, Maybe that's why I don't root for the coach that was with them and now got fired from the Texans, but we're not going to go there. I'll leave it at that,
Dang, that boy over
frankly.
there holding grudges.
I'm telling you.
Hey, listen. When you do a recruit dirty, when he talking about, man, I don't even need a scholarship, I just want to come, and you talking about, nah, bruh, I'm paying to go. I want to pay to go to your school. I want to pay to play. Come on, man. And his little arrogant self too. Anyway, I'm just saying, Penn State got some issues.
Okay,
Let go of
Steven
Franklin,
Jr.
even though they just gave him however many $1 million because he had that lucky year. Mm, 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 mm. Just stole money from Penn State. Stole it. That's thief. Highway robbery. Thief. Backed up the Brinks truck and stole it. That's what he did.
You know who was driving it, right?
Who?
Jim. Oh
Ain't
man.
got nothing else, man.
All right, y'all. Y'all got any final words before we head out of here?
Hey, man, I just want to shout out something real funny, man. I was just just trying to see what was hot. So Giannis Antetokounmpo had a birthday, and the Milwaukee Bucks got him some pins. Hint, hint. Sign on the dotted line, my brother. Sign on the dotted line.
They got him some pins.
Some pins. They want him to sign on the dotted line.
Oh
Hint,
man.
hint. If you didn't know we wanted you, we got you some Milwaukee Buck pins. Sign on the dotted line.
Tell me you want me with how deep you finna fill my pockets.
Oh man.
Hey, fellas, it was fun, man. It was fun.
Yes. Go ahead, take it away, Faye.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to the 19th episode of the Deep Third Sports Podcast, episode 20 next week. So y'all boys better bring it next week for episode 20, man. We got to show up for the people on episode 20. But once again, make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, and turn on that bell so that you guys can get notified next week when we go live and you don't miss any of the action. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Catch you next week.